These are the Plicker questions for test 2, starting with week 5, planning. An expected outcome has this as its feature. A specific measurable objective designed to lead to the client's goals. B, sequential smaller steps leading to broader goal. C, serve as indicators of the client's progress towards the broader goal. Or D, all of the above. And the answer is D, all of the above. What is established during the planning phase of the nursing intervention, or of the nursing process? A, expected outcomes. B, client-centered goals and expected outcomes. C, client-centered goals and interventions. Or D, client-centered goals, expected outcomes, interventions. And the answer to this is D. Which nursing intervention is considered collaborative? A, nurse carries out written physician orders. B, nurse carries out his or her response to patient need. Or C, nurse carries out interventions by other health team members. And the answer to this is C. Moving on to still week 5, this is teaching and learning lecture. Which domain of learning is the nurse using to teach Mrs. M? Ms. M. Miss M is upset about her skin, that her skin is fragile and easily tears. The nurse reassures Miss M and shows her how to carefully dry in the folds of her skin after bathing. Is it A, cognitive, B, affective, C, psychomotor, or D, all of the above? And the answer here is D, all of the above. Another choice, let me try to fix this so you can see them all. Thought it was just A, B, and C for this one. Mr. B has come for diet counseling to lose some weight. The nurse explains Canada's food guide to the client and discusses how he feels about weight loss. Which domains of learning are being used by the nurse to teach Mr. B? A, cognitive and affective. B, psychomotor and affective. Or C, cognitive and psychomotor. And the answer here is A, cognitive and affective. Mr. D has come for diet counseling to lose some weight. The nurse explains Canada's food guide. Oh, that was a repeat. Moving on. This is with the activity, the physical activity lectures, the last lecture in week 5. You watch an elderly woman crosses the street. She is bent over her walker and is moving with a decreased gait. What elements of normal movement does she lack? Is it A, posture and balance, B, coordinated movement and joint mobility, C, balance and coordinated movement, or D, posture and joint mobility? And the answer here is D, posture and joint mobility. Okay, here we go. How much activity does the 18 to 64-year-old require according to Canadian Physical Activity Guidelines? Is it 60 minutes per week? Is it 100 minutes per week? Is it 150 minutes per week? Or is it 180 minutes per week? The answer here is C, 150 minutes per week. Which of the following is considered an isotonic exercise? Is it walking, jogging, biking, or all of the above? And the answer is D, all of the above. Moving on to the next week's lectures in week 6, and this is group process. Which of the following self-roles in groups whispers to others, daydreams, doodles, and acts indifferently and passive? The answer here is D, the avoider. In the following list, what is a task function within a group? Is it encouraging others, gives an opinion, harmonizing, or compromising? This is task versus maintenance functions within a group. And the answer is B, gives an opinion. In the storming phase of group development, one would expect the following risk behaviors. Would expect the following behaviors. A, anxiety. B, power and control issues. C, sharing of personal information. And D, goal accomplishment. The answer is B, power and control issues. Be sure you know the different phases of group development. Then moving on to the conflict lecture in week 6, which of the the following personal styles is cooperative but non-assertive? A, avoidance, B, accommodation, C, competition, or D, collaboration? The answer is B, accommodation. Select all that apply. Most conflicts, A, feel uncomfortable, B, are influenced by previous experience with a person or a situation, C, involves some threat to one's sense of control or self-esteem, or D, are someone else's fault. I think I made a mistake when we did this one in class because I missed that it was select all that apply. How you read a select all that apply is you would go to the question most conflicts, and you would read it like a true or false question. So most conflicts, A, feel uncomfortable. And then you would decide, is that correct? And you put a check mark beside that. Go back up to the question, most conflicts, and then you'd go to B, are influenced by previous experience with conflict, previous experience with a person and or situation. And you'd figure out, is that right or wrong? If it's right, you'd put a check mark beside that. You go back up, most conflicts, and then you'd read C, involves some threat to one's sense of control or self-esteem. Is that right or wrong? You'd figure that out, go back up, say most conflicts, D, are someone else's fault. So in this case, A, B, and C are correct. I have about 5 of these questions on the test. Select all that apply. They're an NCLEX style question, very important for you to learn how to do these questions because they're a very high level question. So the correct answer to this is A, B, and C. Now we're moving off into the last lecture in week 6, which was the one on stress, growth and development. In the Beavis framework, adaptation and maturation falls under which of the following? I know you've all studied at Beavis, so you know this answer. Is it A, nursing tools and strategies, life processes are B, sub-processes are C, and client systems are D? Go back to my cheat sheet and go back to the picture that I gave you that shows this model and study it because there's going to be some Beavis questions on this test. The answer for this is B, life processes. If you look at the picture that I handed out in the first or second week, you will see that adaptation and maturation falls under life processes. Again, from that lecture, one symptom of the general adaptation syndrome is, remember this is fight or flight. Is it A, pupils constrict, B, decreased cardiac output, C, decreased urine output, and D, decreased blood clotting? The correct answer is A, pupils constrict. An example of problem-focused coping as opposed to emotion-focused coping from this PowerPoint is A, deciding marks don't matter anyway, or B, meeting with the teacher to clarify. It is clearly B, meeting with the teacher to clarify, which I encourage you all to do if this becomes a problem for you. According to Erikson, the young adult is at which stage? Is it A, intimacy versus isolation, B, initiative versus guilt, or C, integrity versus despair? The answer here with Erikson is A, intimacy versus isolation. And the final question from this growth and adaptation, stress and strain lecture in week 6 is according to Eric. Oh, sorry, it hasn't come up yet. Here we go. An example of an anthropometric measurement is A, height, B, weight, C, head circumference, or D, all of the above. The answer here is D, all of the above, because an anthropometric measurement is about being able to quantify measurement, and you can quantify all of these things. So the answer is D. And that is in the stress and strain growth and development lecture of week 6. Remember that I'm not going to be asking you questions around the, let me just bring that up, if I can quickly bring that up. I'm not going to be asking you questions around the theories. You'll see on the first table of content down here, I have these 5 developmental theories. I'm not going to be asking any questions around these 5 developmental theories within this lecture. Not to say that I wouldn't ask questions around theorists that come up in the other lectures. So, of course, I like Bandura's self-efficacy theory. I like Piaget and Erikson, and of course Beavis, and any of the other theoretical models that you see in the other lectures are fair game. But these particular ones down here, I'm not going to be asking you any questions around these 5 developmental theories. Just wanted to remind you of that. Let me just get back to where we were. Okay. So moving on to our next lecture, which is week 7. This is our rural and remote health lecture. All the health risks that exist for rural residents are magnified for those who live in Aboriginal communities. Which of the following applies to this situation? Select all that apply. Again, this is an all that apply question. Select all that apply. So you would read, which of the following health risks exists for rural residents are magnified for those in Aboriginal communities? And you would say, is A correct? And then you'd go back and read the stem, and then you'd go, is B correct? Then you'd go back and you'd read the stem, and you'd come back, is C correct? And then you'd go back and read the stem, and you'd say, is D correct? And in this case, A, B, and C are correct. They have actually higher risks of diabetes, not lower. The next question is this. If a client lives closer to an urban area, the better their health will be. Is this true or false? And this is true. Because of the access. The next question. What characterizes a rural and remote community from an urban setting? Is it A, increasing population numbers, high employment rates, good health in its citizens, or D, lower formal education levels? The answer is D, lower formal education levels. Now we're moving on to culture in week 7. Which person below is associated with the theory of cultural care? You can see there's my my 3 theorists that I like that I mentioned prior. What is the person in this list that's associated with the theory of cultural care? It is Leininger. C is the answer. And here we have the nurse works with the First Nations client to develop a new routine to remember taking their medication beyond what the client is currently doing. This is achieved while maintaining the College of Nurses of Ontario standards and respecting the client's traditional beliefs. This is known as, is it A, cultural preservation? Is it B, cultural repatterning? Is it C, cultural accommodation? And the answer here is B, cultural repatterning. Please read this out of the PowerPoint. It also is in the College of Nurses standard around cultural care. A nurse tells the patient not to be silly when the patient tells him of a cultural practice she would like the nurse to help facilitate during her hospital stay. What is this called? Okay, so this comes strictly out of your definitions in your week 7 culture lecture. So what would this be? The answer is cultural imposition. Okay, so please look at the definitions in that week 7 lecture. We're moving on to caring. This is week 8, caring. Oh, look, there's another theorist. Jean Watson developed factors related to her research on caring. What did she call these factors? Were they compassionate factors, curative factors, curative factors, or comforting factors? The answer here is C, curative factors. Which of the following nursing behaviors are perceived by families as caring? Select all that apply. Okay, so another select all that apply. So you're reading the stem is trying to make the patient comfortable perceived by families as caring. So perceived as by families as caring. Does everything for the patient. Perceived by families as caring, sharing information with family members only when asked. Perceived by family members as caring, assuring the patient that the nurse will be available. Okay, so the correct answer here is trying to make the patient comfortable, and which is A, and D, assuring the patient that the nurse will be available. Because we don't want to do everything for the patient. We want the patient to do things as much as for themselves as possible. And we're not just talking to family members when asked. Only when asked. We're always giving information to family members and keeping them apprised of the situation. In the Beavis framework, caring falls under which of the following? Okay, you guys know this one because you use the nursing tools and strategies in your reflective journals. And caring is one of the nursing tools that we use in our toolbox. So the answer to this question is A, nursing tools and strategies. We're moving on to evaluation, which is also in week 8 lecture. don't know if I'm going to get this all on the screen here, but I'll read it. After teaching about caffeinated beverages to grade 7 students, the awesome nursing students returned to the campus to complete their evaluation. A process evaluation gathers answers to which of the following questions? Select all that apply. Let me try to bring this up so we can see all of the options here. Again, this is a select all that apply. So you read the stem and you come back. So a process evaluation is that did the students listen to the YouTube clip we played? You think that's correct, you would select it. A process evaluation is it did the interactive activity with the cans of caffeinated drinks engage the students? A process evaluation is it did the students demonstrate learning so the teaching plan objectives were met? And finally, a process evaluation is it was the hour the nursing students taught right before recess the best time to deliver the lesson? Remember, process versus outcome. So the process answers to this question are A, B, and D, because C would be an outcome evaluation. What is the purpose of an evaluation in relation to the plan of care? Select all that apply. So is the purpose of an evaluation to continue with the plan of care? Is the purpose of an evaluation to modify the plan of care? Is the purpose of an evaluation to terminate the plan of care? Is the purpose of an evaluation to gather assessment data? So in this case, A, B, and C are correct. The purpose of an evaluation is to figure out, in relation to the plan of care, should you continue it? Should you modify it? Should you terminate it? Right? And the last two questions are on our ethics lecture from week 9. Which theory is utilitarianism linked to? And the answer to this is consequence-based. Okay? And my last question for you is this one. A nursing student sees a member of the healthcare team take $20 from a patient's wallet. Which of the following moral principles will the student act upon when he reports this to his clinical instructor? Which he most certainly would. The answer to this question is B, veracity, which is truth-telling. And that concludes the Plicker questions for Test 2. I hope they've been helpful. If there's any questions around any of this, please email me. I'll be in my office on Monday as well if you want to come and see me. Keep working hard, everybody. You rock.